All right, welcome back to the Parallel Reels podcast, where movies get their moments. And this week, we're getting into two very special films. I think some of the best films I've watched this year. One of them came out in 2024. They won a bunch of awards at award shows this 2025, and the other one came out I think 2019,
Yes,
and
sir.
it's still relevant to this day. We're going to be talking
Very.
about The Last Black Man in San Francisco and The Brutalist, which are from, I would say, I think that's our favorite studio other than Marvel Studios, I guess.
Facts.
A24 Studios
Films, man. They need to
films.
change it from A24 to A1 because, boy, they on it. They on it.
No, it's for Rad too.
Dun, 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 psh.
Yeah, but no, for real. Like, I think every A24 movie that I've watched, there's only a couple where I say they've missed.
Oh, for real? I haven't seen
I
any
didn't even
yet.
watch them. I didn't watch the ones that I
Okay.
feel as though they're going to miss. I think it's that movie that they made a movie about the Twitter feeds. Like, there's this
I
girl
haven't
who
seen
made a
that.
whole Twitter story that went viral back in like 2016, 2015. They made a movie about it called Zola. Um,
Okay.
I never watched it, but I was like, why would I want to watch a movie about a story made up on Twitter?
I feel. But
But
I think everything that we've reviewed from A24, bro, it's been top notch, man. From Sing Sing to Different Man to the Black Man in San Fran to Brutalist. I don't think I'm missing anything, but man,
yeah, and also, I I don't know if anybody else out there, audience, have noticed that A24 shoots their movies like during the
vintage,
70s, like during the
bro.
80s. I don't know what it is. I don't know why every A24 film has that type of gritty, grainy
Grungy vibe.
film. Yeah, I don't. I wonder if they actually film on film. Um,
Some do, some
uh,
don't. I know with the Different Man they did, with also the Brutalist they did. I
wow.
think with the Last Black Man in San Fran they use an Ari, which is more modern. But
Hmm.
I know for Different Man and the Brutalist they used a 35 millimeter or 16. So I know it's
See,
gibberish,
all
but you
that
get the
technical
idea.
stuff, I don't know it, but it sounds great because it looks good visually. It looks. I mean,
Amen.
there's not one A24 film that's not just visually captivating, and
That's facts.
I
But
don't.
man, let me get into the Last Black Man in San Francisco,
Mm.
which is in California for a lot of people that don't know, the Bay Area for a lot of people that don't know. Hey man, we might be having some guests from India, so we gotta let them know. You feel me? Excuse me. But the Last Black Man in San Fran is about Jimmy, a young man holding on to memory of a Victorian house. Um, that he grew up in, obviously. Even as the city moves on without him, with his best friend Mont, but full name Montgomery. That's very African, my bad. He watches as the house is taken over by new owners, speaking his quest to reclaim it. So, just a little bit. So, the movie starts out with Jimmy and Mont, you know, in their neighborhood in San Fran. And then, they're waiting for the bus to come. The bus doesn't come. They ended up, skateboarding through San Fran to this Victorian house that he feels like, is their family's. So I guess he goes, this is like a routine. He goes there every day to make sure the house is, clean. And, the paint is where it's at. The leaves are raked. The house is looking polished. Like he's acting like it's his own house. So when the movie started out, I didn't really understand what was going on until uh the people that lived there originally got evicted uh because the mom died, and then they were trying to figure out who owned the house and stuff like that. So then he went to the real estate broker to finally let them know, oh, this was his dad's house. But I think before he got there, there was like a lot of people. There was some people that came in front of the house trying to like explain, to the neighbors, like, who built the house, when it was built, who was from, and he was arguing with them about, oh, this house was built this year, and he's like, oh, nah, my grandpa built it, da 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 da. So I kind of started like that. But funny thing, his best friend, already kind of knew, okay, this is not his house, but he didn't know how to really tell him. So push him to shove. they end up losing the house, and then he kind of end up losing himself. But we'll go a little bit deeper down the line. Just a little synopsis of The Last Black Man in San Fran.
Yeah, and I have to say, I've heard about this movie for so many years because this was Jonathan Majors like first official, like I would say, Hollywood movie. It wasn't like a big movie, you know. A24, they kind of pride themselves on being kind of more indie film, uh,
Facts.
not such a mainstream studio. But now that I finally watched this movie, I see why this movie was so amazing. Why Jonathan Majors' character was so revered, because man, he played the hell out of Montgomery.
Man,
And also Jimmy Fails. He's actually playing himself, because
himself.
he's playing himself in the movie. A lot of A24 movies do that, where their actual characters are playing
In real life.
themselves. It's real
And I think
life.
that's why their movies feel so real,
Mm,
because these people are actually portraying their real life,
right.
even with the different men, them not using a prosthetic character, you know, using an actual uh, man with, the
Adam
deformed face,
Pearson. Yeah.
with Sing Sing actually using prisoners to play, the part. And then this one actually telling a story from Jimmy's point of view,
Right.
basically him being, an orphan in a way. So I think that's why their movies feel so real, because these people have actually lived this life, so they're able to portray it on the big screen like perfectly.
Right, right. I definitely agree with that. You can actually see the pain, the trauma. They're not just acting it; they've lived it. So it comes off very, very, very real.
Real,
I think that's the word for it. It just comes off real.
real,
Um, man,
real
that
life, real facts.
real shit. That was a great movie. That was a great movie. Everybody involved needs a round of applause. Round of applause. Yeah. Shout out. Shout out to the last black man in San Francisco, because that has such a deep meaning and connotation. Even the title
Bro,
alone, because all the black people are being pushed out of these
gentrification,
areas, especially the Bay Area. The Bay Area is so expensive,
bro.
um, and that used to be a big black uh, population. A lot of areas all over the country have always used to have huge black centralized
Community,
population and community, but as gentrification trying to
it pushes them
revitalize
out.
the community, yeah. But
And I think this movie also has like a great load of like symbolism.
mm,
Even like in the beginning, when they were waiting for the bus, and I think they end up missing the bus, or I think they figured out that the homeowners were gonna come home before they got there. They just start to ride their skateboard, and I think off the bat, initially, like in the beginning of the scene, we kind of see their bond, like their friendship, with them riding the skateboard together. Because I've never seen a skateboard riding like that, and I used to ride skateboard like hella.
oh
So
really?
seeing that, we kind of like got the idea. Okay, they're like brothers.
Yeah, yeah.
So
There's
just off
definitely a
that symbolism,
community between them, and
exactly.
because I don't think neither of them have actual siblings. Um, they definitely formed a special bond through both of their experiences. But
Exactly.
yeah, I think that ties into the reality, the symbolism, the magnitude of the Brutalist,
Facts.
um, which I think is there's a reason why it won so many awards at
Bro.
Emmys. It won so many awards, Golden Globes. I think the SAG Awards, all the movie awards you can think of. I think this movie has won so many things, and also I've been a huge Brody fan since The Pianist. I don't know if you've watched The Pianist.
No, I haven't watched it, but I heard of it. It's
Wow,
definitely on my list.
wow, wow,
When
wow.
did that come out? Like 2003?
Maybe like oh 01, oh 02.
Okay.
And Brody still looks exactly. I'm pretty sure that's his name. I hope I'm not saying his name incorrectly. But he looks exactly the same still, which is very interesting. But The Pianist and The Brutalist are very, very similar movies. They both have to deal with World War II. The Pianist was, it was Adrian Brody. I'll let you watch that movie, and
Yeah,
we should talk about.
don't spoil it for me yet, man.
Yeah, I won't. We'll
Because
talk about that movie later. And
if it's kind of similar to the Brutalist, I gotta watch it. I
it's
gotta
very,
watch
very
it.
similar. It has to do
I
with
gotta
World War
watch it.
II. You know me, I'm a big World War II buff, history buff. So like, I've watched that movie at least 2 or 3 times.
Oh wow,
It's very long, but it's also a completely true
just like
story.
this one.
Yeah,
Because
this is
this was like
very
three
long.
hours long. Like
3 hours
initially
and
when I
20
seen the
minutes.
yeah when I saw the run, if it's funny because they had an intermission even in the movie. When
Yeah,
I saw this runtime of this movie, I'm just like, am I really gonna sit here and watch this? But
I
I
definitely
did
did.
because like it really got you hooked. And I think what I like about A24 is is really for like storytellers,
Mm,
like people that enjoy storytelling. It's not really for modern society
yeah.
because I feel like now we're just quick, quick, quick. We want action fast, but like A24 really like tells a good story, and I think that's what grabs my attention like off the bat.
And the way they make movies like it's the early 50s and 40s, but like you said, the movie had an intermission where they literally put intermission. Like they give you like a good, like, I think it was like they even had a timer on it. That's how they
Yeah, I
used to
think it was
do it in the
15.
yeah, in the movie theaters back in the 40s, 30s, 50s. They used to have a timer for you to go and get some food, relax, because the movies were long back then.
Bro.
So just like this movie's 3 hours long, and it has a overture, part one, part two, an epilogue, and it
Yep.
literally comes on the screen and says part one and part two, epilogue. Like, I think that shows the level of detail that A24 brings to their movies, and um, like you said, this is really a studio for storytellers. They do not play around when it comes to detail. They don't.
Bro.
Um, but
They're
let me
not
get
into
back.
this CGI or
Nah,
sci-fi. Like it's straight to work. But man, let me not
you know
interrupt you. Let
what
me
would be interesting if Christopher Nolan and A24 team up for a movie.
mm, I feel like I feel like it's like Dunkirk. Like it feels like a Dunkirk would happen.
No, I think it feels like the one that's coming, the Odyssey.
Odyssey.
Oh my God. I wonder how he's gonna retell a Shakespearean. Well, it's not Shakespearean. It's Greek mythology. My bad. I said Shakespearean. I wonder how he's gonna retell a legendary Greek mythology.
Hey, just know whatever is happening now, it's in the future and in the present that's happened in the past. Take it away. Because he tells his stories in like three
In
different
diff. Oh,
sections.
you're talking about chronologically.
Yeah.
Chronologically. Yeah. All right. But anyways, back to the Brutalist. I really definitely went on a tangent, just giving them their flowers. But the Brutalist follows Laszlo, thought, an architect.
My bad. You said thought. Go
Because
ahead,
that's
my
how it's
bad.
pronounced. It has a little like accent
I
mark on the
know.
O. But anyways, it follows Laszlo, played by Adrian Brody, and an architect forced to leave his homeland after World War II, and he's an amazing architect. Not just any type of architect. It's not like he's just a regular ass architect. This guy is very, very talented. Building a new life in America while struggling to maintain his artistic integrity. As he takes on commissions, he battles between personal expression and external expectations. This conflict is highlighted when Laszlo is given an opportunity to design a major building, a cathedral, but is pressured to conform to the commercial demands and the demands of the wealthy donor who is, bankrolling this whole project. The film deeply explores the sacrifices that come with the exile and ambition. A main key moment when Laszlo walks through the nearly completed cathedral, touching all the walls, reflecting the purity of his vision and versus the compromises he had to make. And boy, he had to make a lot of compromises, and we all can attest and agree to that as being immigrants.
Immigrants,
You
facts.
know,
He went through
uh,
hell, bro.
we went through hell, and I would say, since we're a little bit farther removed from like moving here at this point, there's still some sacrifices we had to make, some compromises we had to make as young first generation Americans now. This scene definitely encapsulates the theme of artistic integrity in a changing world. And I have to say, French kiss, chef's kiss. I said French. That's disgusting. Chef's kiss.
Chef French, we get what you
We
mean.
get, yeah. But
Add
this
a little
movie,
tongue in there.
I'm not gonna touch that one. Um, this movie is,
Man, what did you
I
like
don't.
about this movie, man? What did you like? Like, what symbols grabbed you? What connected you to this movie, man? Because I'm ready to go off, man, like an AR.
You didn't need to add that part. You could have just said I'm ready to go off. But what I say, I think it's the level of humanity in this movie. It showed how deeply flawed humans can be, and how
Bruh,
trying to survive even comes with flaws. Trying
bro.
to just be human. It's literally, there's no such thing as perfection. You can be as talented as you want. You're going to have some flaws because this guy is such a genius. He's so amazing, but some things just kept on happening, and everybody. I had this discussion with somebody. All humans have a vice, right?
Yeah.
Everybody has a vice to keep up with what this world we live in is, to
Yep.
take the edge off. And he was doing heroin, like, a lot.
Heavy drugs.
He was doing a, but this was during the time where they didn't know
So
heroin
it
was
was
so
normal.
they didn't know heroin was so bad for you. And they gave it to him. He got hooked on it when he first came to America, when they were trying to, the medical officers or whatever gave it to him when he first arrived in America, and he got hooked on it. For I think he had a broken nose or something on the way over, because
Yeah,
he was literally in the concentration camps, over
man.
over in Germany. I think was he in Dachau, or was that his wife that was in Dachau?
I think they were both there, but he obviously he left, came to Philly in 1947, and then he left his wife and was his cousin,
It was like his niece,
niece. Okay,
Sophia.
yeah. He came over. So yeah, man. But to be honest, like there's so much similarities between the Last Black Man in San Fran and the Brutalist. So initially, right, isn't it crazy how the guy, was it Van? I forgot his name. Like Van, the dude that was the dad that was funding the project for the library that he
Yeah,
was creating.
Van Buren.
Yeah, okay. So it's funny how initially he was upset that, oh, you're messing up my house, blah blah blah. But now that everybody what loves the art, he brings him back to try to finish it. So
Right.
it's just like, well, like why are humans like that? Why do we
Wait for
go
others'
with the trend?
validation. Yeah.
Like, you feel me? So that's what kind of like annoyed me a little bit. But then when we go to the Last Black Man in San Fran, it's like Kofi, right?
Mm.
When he was kicking it with Jimmy and Mont, he was opening up to them, letting them know. But then when he went to go kick it back with his boys, guess what? Now he started making fun of what? Mont
Mom
and Jimmy.
saying that
So
they're
it's just like,
weird,
why? You feel me? Like,
strange,
why
but
do we always want validations from other people? And I
it,
feel like this movie touched on this a lot, and like like it really like hit me because, to be honest, if Kofi wasn't around this type of, like, his friends, he would still be alive, because he ended up dying
mhm,
because he was hanging out with people that aren't his friends, and he was trying to act like who he really wasn't, and guess what, it ended up him being dead. And it's funny because Jimmy had said the same thing, like, "Oh, if I didn't have this house, I'd also be dead." So it also symbolizes, man, like the house was holding him together. Because funny thing is, once it's not funny, but once he lost that house, he lost his identity. And I feel like
yeah,
this movie speaks on identity for both the Brutalist and the Last Black Man. Because once they lost what they love, they didn't know who they were anymore.
mm,
And he ended up even leaving San Francisco, and he's
right.
been there his whole life.
Damn. Yeah, that identity part is very, very important. That even goes back to, remember when he ran into his mom on the bus?
Bro, yes.
That was very very painful. Like they didn't even realize it was each other.
Like,
And when they got
and
off
that
the
hurt
bus, yeah,
because
you could
remember
see the
they
pain in him.
yeah, the pain. It was like awkward, even like when they're trying to like hug or get
Yeah.
their number at the end. And it's funny because I don't think they ever met up again after that bus scene.
Nope. She never showed up at the house.
She
She
didn't
said
have
she was gonna.
yeah.
She said she was gonna show up, but she never did. Um, I think that is similar to what Laszlo experienced with his cousin when he first
Yeah.
got to Philly, and his cousin's wife. His cousin was more Americanized. Obviously, he had less of an accent. He was helping him out, da 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 da. But like, he kicked him out essentially. He said, "Get out." After that.
Why,
After the rich guy told him to get out.
but do you
After
know why he kicked him out? Do you remember why he kicked him out?
wasn't it because his wife said that he wanted to
Yeah.
dance, like some like he wanted to
Yeah.
get with her or
Man.
something, which
After
wasn't true at
God,
all.
fear women.
Fear woman, fear woman. Let me. What is the? I'm gonna use a knife for that one.
Yay.
Yeah, fear woman.
But nah, like dude is already struggling. How you like why are you making his life worse? Like what do you gain from that?
Yeah, it was tough to watch that part, and you know, it seemed like everybody that had come in contact with him ended up betraying him. Other than I would say Gordon.
Yeah.
Only Gordon is the only one that never really like left his side, even though eventually Laszlo betrays him. You know what I'm saying? He kind of like betrays him, and that was hard to watch because Gordon has been by his side
For a
since
long time.
for a long time. And never they never really said where Gordon was from, but he said he fought in the war as well, and he was a single father of one, and man, and both of them were doing heroin together. Uh, yeah, the heroin scenes always hurt my soul because I'm like, man, it was when he had to do the presentation of the cathedral the first time, he was high as hell. He
Bro.
was fucking zooted. Um,
Is a
yeah,
funny word.
he was he was gone, bro. But shout out to Gordon. Gordon made it happen. Gordon.
Oh yeah,
If Gordon
facts.
wasn't there, kind of like his anchor that day, even though they just came off of a binge. Um,
But man, it's crazy that there's like a lot of like similarities between this these two movies. I feel like if I get into it, like we're gonna be here longer than expected.
hell
But
yeah.
I really love the direction of the last excuse me, the last black man in San Francisco. It was very poetic, man. Like it was also visually stunning. Like the colors, how golden it was, it kind of reflected like off like the Golden Bridge, like the Golden Bay area. Like that's
Ah,
what kind of
nice.
like came to my mind, like with the colors and the emotions, like how we're speaking about the mom and Jimmy and the bus. Like the emotions were so raw, like you felt it, like, and I think that's when also when we speak on like A24, we feel like it's so real because like the emotions that they portray to you, like you really feel it. Like I felt chills, like I felt the awkwardness, like I felt the relationship between like the different friends. Like I felt the love that he had for the house. Like I'm thinking like, oh man, this is really his house. Like I really believed him throughout the whole movie that like,
Yeah,
man,
same.
this is his grandpa's house that he built.
But it wasn't.
But like it wasn't. So even like, bro, and I know I say this a lot, but those like close up shots of like the different facial expressions, those wide shot of them riding the skateboard, like it just felt free. Like you feel the emotions in these movies, man. So like the direction of this movie was like very, very poetic and like visually stunning. And I think it captured everything that he needed to what to to spark an emotion in the audience or even on the big screen.
Right, right. Would you consider this movie, the Last Black Man in San Francisco? Would you consider that a comedy?
A comedy? Nah.
There's a lot of funny scenes.
Yeah, no, I see what you mean by that, but the reason why I feel like I wouldn't consider it a comedy is because like I think my emotions and even though I was laughing, I was still like, man, like this guy doesn't have a home because he didn't know where his parents were at.
Yeah.
He was staying with Mont. He was so worried about the house. I don't know if you peeped, but Mont's I think it was his dad or his grandpa. Like he was blind. I
Yeah.
don't know if you peeped that.
Yeah, he
And
was.
he was when Jimmy was on the phone with like the real estate guy trying to figure out the house, like he didn't even care about, the blind Mon's blind dad or grandpa. He was just like watching him like walk through, and it's like, but he didn't even help him because like he was so stuck on one thing that he didn't even know what was going on around him, like in the real world. So it's just like, man, like obviously, I'm thankful I have a shelter, I have somewhere to stay, I have a family. So kind of like putting myself in his shoe, like I feel like that's where my emotions were at throughout the whole movie. So like even though like it was funny, like the overall concept when I walked outside the movie, I'm like, damn, like I feel for Jimmy. Like he's lost, he doesn't know himself. He's lost himself because he doesn't really have anybody because he's so focused on one thing. So he doesn't even know that he has good people around him, like Mont.
That is completely accurate. And I'm just reading up on the last black man in San Francisco, and it's actually a true story. It's actually just based
Yeah,
on Jimmy Fallon's life, and
yeah,
I didn't even look that up. So that's a hard. I I'm just imagining him like expressing that through film. I know that had to be very very difficult
difficult
because
man.
he actually did lose a Victorian house, and that means that house, and he spent time in foster care and public housing. Um,
Man,
Dang.
you know how crazy it is to wake up every day to go to somebody else's house to go paint it to make sure that it's clean. Like, I was wondering when did he even start doing that? Like, when did it start? I always like, the story kind of went back on, oh, he's starting when he was 19. He's been doing this for like 20 years. Like, I wish we had a little bit more background
Yeah,
of
yeah, for
why,
sure.
he started doing what he did.
Yeah, but I feel
So,
as though he didn't want to make it completely like a biography of his life.
yeah,
Because he said it's like a semi biography, not complete, not
yeah,
everything. It's like a fictionalized version of himself, but the main themes and aspects of the movie are, real.
facts,
So like,
facts.
so I
Would
think
you
that's
feel,
why
do you feel like the Brutalist kind of had like the same direction, or do you feel like it is like completely different? Because I know they have like a lot of similarities.
this movie isn't like factual or anything like that. It obviously Laszlo thought is not a real character, not a real person. It wasn't a real person, but it's a period piece, an epic period drama. So like, who knows how many people during World War II came over that actually survived the Holocaust or managed to get away before they got put into concentration camps that were, who knows what their careers were back in Germany, Poland, Austria, that whole area. Who knows what they were, because they pretty much had to
Facts,
come out. They By the time they even were allowed to come to America, they had to just come over and start all over. And also, America didn't even really want to accept them.
facts.
If you remember that, America was like, we don't care. America back then was like, we're staying out that war until Pearl Harbor happened. America was not getting involved, mainly because of because of how many people had died in the World War I.
Yeah,
So like,
and
I
it's,
think it's also relatable to immigrants of nowadays. Let's say especially African immigrants, um, where
I was
America
I
does
was I was
not
gonna tap into that. So, but
America does
yeah, I'll
not
let you
recognize
finish.
like their degrees. A lot of bro, some people came from Africa who, let's say, 70s and the 80s and 90s, especially in the 90s. A lot of our people came in the 90s. So these were very, very well-to-do people back home, but the governments and all that was just so trash, still are to this day,
Yeah,
that they had to just say forget it and move to America. Pretty much people who were like doctors, nurses, lawyers, engineers started over doing like dishwashers, cab drivers, like very very lowly means when they first got to America.
factory jobs.
Factory jobs, and they
It's
did it with a
crazy because
smile
I
on their
was
face.
not facts. I was even gonna say that, like even myself, like my parents coming from Ghana, like they were doing like big jobs back in Ghana, but when they came here, they have to humble themselves because they Africa isn't really respected in the Western world.
Right.
Like they don't care, if you were the president in Ghana. If you come here, like you're doing warehouse, you're doing cleanups, like you're
Yeah.
doing like those dirty jobs.
Yeah. Menial
But
jobs.
it's crazy because when we came over here, my si- my siblings and myself, it's just like we didn't really see our parents complain. Like they went to work every day, came back, took care of the house. Like we thought it was normal. But then like growing up, kind of seeing how the world is now, like I'm not gonna lie to you, I wouldn't have made it. Like
Hell
I
no.
would have sent y'all back to Ghana, and then I would have followed through too, because bro, I worked at a warehouse right after high school because my parents wanted to teach me a lesson. They're like, hey, we've worked here. We don't want you to work here. You don't take school serious, so go do this
Hey,
and see how it is. I'm like, bro, y'all making like a lot of money because back then, like $14 was a lot of
it
money
was a
for
lot
like
of
a high.
money back then. Yeah.
So I'm like, say less, bro. Now I bought my steel toe shoe. I went to the factory, bro. My first day, people were talking. I've been here for 20 years. I'm like, hell nah. So, bro, my first day, like the first day was like orientation. So like my second day, we started to like work, bro. I kid you not. I was there at 6 a.m. I would work for like 5 hours. I would look up at the clock. James, only 5 minutes has gone by. Bro, I was pissed, bro. Like, I'm like, you tell yourself, okay, I'm not gonna look at the clock because every time you look at the clock, the time isn't moving.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, let me work for like a good 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, and look at the clock just so I'd feel good about myself. I promise you, every time I look up, 5 minutes has gone by. And I'm just like, how did you do this for 20 years? Ain't no way. I promise you, I think like like the third day, I came to work without my steel toes on. And then they're like, "Hey, you don't have your shoes on. Like, you got to go home." I say less. I lasted at that job for 2 weeks. I told my parents I got laid off because they didn't have enough funding, bro. That's the day my life changed, bro. So like, I appreciate my parents for humbling themselves to go through this,
Bro.
and making a better life for us because man, all my siblings, we're like, we want to be at. And my parents had to come here to sacrifice, put their pride aside to sacrifice. They could have stayed in Ghana and still lived a good life. So
Honestly.
man, the brutalist really like touched on that. Like the dude really humbled himself to do a lot of things that he want to do. And I think what I appreciate about him the most that he didn't conform to the like commercial work. He still stuck to his identity to be
Yeah.
like, hey, this is what I'm doing, and I'm not gonna do any less because
Yeah.
it has my name behind it.
Yeah. He still kept on trying to become an architect in America. He still kept on, and also he had his own style. He had his own style, and it was, and also like when I kept on reading some, on some literature about the brutalist, because the brutalist architecture style, that's why it's called the brutalist. It's an
Yeah.
architecture style. So like he said he would. So Laszlo's idea was he was mainly basing all his architecture styles on the shit he saw in the concentration camp.
Yep.
I don't know if I think it was Dachau or Auschwitz. I want to be sure because I'm tired of
I think it's Dow Cow because it sounds so familiar. But I don't know if you also peeped while you're looking this up. But as soon as he got to America, to me,
Buchenwald.
oh, we were off.
His wife, his no, the reason why we're saying Dachau because his wife was in Dachau.
Okay.
He was in Buchenwald concentration camp.
But nah, like before you get back to the point, when he got to New York, I don't know if you peeped, but like the Statue of Liberty was upside down, because like yeah, it was shot like upside down, like it
Oh
wasn't
yeah, I
like
did see that. Yeah, I did see that.
yeah. So
I
it tells us we are coming to America for opportunities, but you don't really know what you're getting yourself into.
ah
So like that's what I kind of got off of that. I picked up a lot of symbols from these two movies, man, and like it just like when you watch Marvel and you're able to connect like
yeah,
from
Easter
past
eggs.
movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's how I felt. But I'll
Mm.
let you finish like what you were saying.
Loki might
I
have
forgot.
forgot my train of thought,
Uh,
but
you were
yeah,
saying like the
his
pieces that he's
architecture style
making.
was based on the actual
Yeah,
concentration camps. Like he was
yeah,
making new architecture based on that, and also he already had that brutalist background. So he would, and also like even just down to furniture, he was making that library that he made was beautiful. Where he first met the wealthy uh,
Yes.
Van Buren guy who does unspeakable things to him. Unspeakable.
You can't trust everybody, man.
Made his life a living hell. I think that's another aspect of this movie where it's just talking about, maybe the wealthy people aren't the good people. I mean, I think we kind of already accepted, seen that with
You
this
know,
new. I don't know. I don't know if
once you
that's.
start making too much money, you get bored and you
Mm,
just want to go to the next level, which what is power. Like you want to start taking over people. You want to start controlling people. I don't want to
did he?
name names.
Did he?
He's hey. Don't come and do that.
Allegedly. Allegedly.
Do that thing here, man. But
Allegedly.
yeah, once you have power, once you have too much money, you get bored. It's like, what's next, bro? It's like at your job. You work there for 1 year, you get bored. You're like, man, I want more money.
Bruh. Worked there
I want to
three
be the
months
CEO.
and I want to
I want to
leave.
be the CEO. Yeah, like, bro, 3 months to six. I mean, 3 to 6 months, bro. I'm like, all right, bro, what's next?
Yeah, on God. I swear to God.
It's funny. I was reading something today, and they said we pray to God for a job just to get that job to pray for another job again.
Ayo. I
That's
mean,
real facts,
that's
bro.
real
That's
shit. This is
real
the
facts.
longest. This is the longest I've ever been at a job in my life. I've never been at a job more than a year.
Uh,
This I'm like not getting
I
into it,
think
but like yeah, this is the longest I've ever been at a job.
I think once I reached like the corporate world, the longest I've been at a job is like 2 years.
Mm.
Right now, I'm like 8 months. So tell
Oh
them to count
damn.
their
I'm
days.
alright. I'm at. I just got to 3 years at this current position.
Jeez. No,
Yeah. I
you gotta
mean,
quit and come back. That's how they pay you more.
who's coming back to that?
Yeah, he said tell them to count their days. The time is ticking. The 2 week notice is coming. He said I'm not even gonna give him a 2 weeks notice.
Hint, 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 hint. Anyways, what would you give? Because we need to wrap up here. But what would you give the Brutalist? Actually, go into the last black man in San
Yeah,
Francisco
man.
first.
I think I out of the two, I enjoyed the last black man in San
Mm.
Fran more than the Brutalist. It's funny
Why
that's
do you
called the
say
Brutalist
that?
because I think I related to it more.
Mm.
Like I was able to enjoy it more. Like I was able to really like piece a lot of the symbols, a lot of the friendship, a lot of the conflicts. I was able to like piece it together,
Mm.
and I think it spoke to me on an emotional level better than like the Brutalist did. I'm not saying the Brutalist sucked. It's a great movie. I recommend both movies. Like go watch it.
Same.
So I'll give the Last Black Man probably like an 8.5. Uh, and I'll give the Brutalist like an 8.
Okay, I can rock with
So,
that. Those are solid, solid. Um, I would say I enjoyed the Brutalist more. I love period pieces about the 1940s, 50s, and 60s. I don't know why. I love mid-century. I also love mid-century furniture and architecture. I don't know. It's very, very interesting to me. So I
your
like
old
how
head
I am an old head. I also listen to a lot of 60s, 70s music,
makes
Nigerian
sense.
music, and Ghana and Ghanaian music.
Or the
Um,
Fuji? Is it called Fuji?
Fuji is like more 90s, and that's a well, it well, actually, you're not even incorrect on that because that's kind of how it sounds. So, like, Fuji is a very, very interesting genre. It developed from like another genre that was like a really, really like traditional genre. But
Man, is that where they
anyways,
got? Is that where they got the Fuji camera? The name from? All right, finish what you're saying, bro. My bad.
anyways,
What would you rate them?
I'm gonna give the Brutalist a 9 out of 10.
Okay.
I'm gonna give Black Man in San Francisco 8 out of 10. I like the last Black Man in San Francisco because I also love West Coast culture. I
Yeah.
love I'm a huge West Coast hip hop fan. Like yeah,
Okay.
I even though New York is the birthplace of hip hop, kind of rate West Coast rap more. I know you're an
And you
East Coast
already
fan. You're an East Coast
who
fan,
me?
aren't you?
You
Yeah,
know, it's Joey Bad.
yeah.
It's per era or no era.
Man, NWA, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, they changed hip hop, but even beyond that, High C, that's Oakland. Um, I love Bay Area music too. Mac Dre. I
Oh,
love,
you know your
bro.
stuff.
Oh,
That's
bro, I
good.
love the Far Side, bro. West Coast hip hop is amazing, 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 amazing.
That's good. But I
But
also think that, because one of my favorite actors is in this movie, shout out to Jonathan Majors, the real king to conquer. So I think that's also why I gravitate towards it too. And I just
he did
related to it
amazing.
more.
He was
Which
amazing in this.
which film do you feel like you resonated with more?
Obviously, the last black man in San Francisco because, duh. But and also it's more relatable because it's more current. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Gentrification. You know, they're around our age range at that
Yeah.
time. I mean, Jimmy Fails just turned 30 as well. The
But
Brutalist, we can't relate to that because we can relate to it because we're immigrants,
immigrants, yeah.
but
Not all the way.
not all the way because of the way they came here, and
Facts.
also the reason why they came.
Came
Also,
here, yeah.
yeah,
So you saying that, who do you think faces, greater challenge between the two main characters, Jimmy and Laszlo?
the black man always faces more challenges, no matter what.
I
He's literally called the
agree.
last black man in San Francisco. Are there really any black men left in San Francisco unless they're the uber wealthy people?
I was
Like
about to say,
Rec.
like, that title is crazy
Yeah, there's not that many black people left in San
because
Francisco unless you're
even
really,
though the
really
movie
wealthy.
was a lot of black people, it obviously it's going to tell you that gentrification, so
Oh
it's
yeah.
coming. Even though it's not there right now, it's coming.
Oh yeah.
So like
And
that's where I got from the title.
a lot of
So
communities have turned into that all over, especially in big
my
cities.
facts,
Yeah, big
facts,
cities.
facts, facts. Nah, man, I really enjoy both movies, man. That's it for today's episode.
Yes,
The
sir.
Last Black Man in San Fran and The Brutalist both explore the meaning of home and artistic passion.
Yes, sir.
Man, these movies had a lot of symbols, a lot of similarities. Like I feel like this is a movie you can put on with your family and anybody will enjoy it. Like if you love
Maybe not the
storytelling,
brutalist.
not The Brutalist, but I
Yeah,
feel
so
like if you enjoy storytelling, like these are two movies that you can really learn a lot. And even as a cinematographer, you can learn a lot of shots from these movies, like the angles, what speaks to you, and you can really take notes from these. So as a watcher and also as a cinematographer, like I feel like these movies really as a go-to, man. If you enjoyed this review, please go ahead and give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on all social media platforms: TikTok, IG, no Facebook. And we will be back every Tuesday with an episode. It's your boy 47 Dex.
yes, sir. And it's Dirty Boy James. So make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and we'll
How
be
can you
back
leave a
with more.
subscribe?
Oh, leave a like and subscribe. I don't know. Just follow us, please. We're begging.
Please.
Please. And that's it for us. We'll be back with more parallel reels where movies get their moments and we review 2 new movies every week.